Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee Books and Rain. I'm Rachel with my coffee that I didn't actually have in the first episode. Weird. With books and reviews, and we've got great moody weather outside. So today is like August 3rd, I think, as of recording, and I can 100% tell you that the weather has shifted from feeling like swelteringly hot 108-degree real feels on the temperature to feeling like 80 degrees, and I'm loving it. So today is a fantastic day, but we're going to start with a book called Witch. This is Holy Terrors number 3 by Simon R. Green. And I just finished this book this morning, so I thought I needed to go ahead and get it recorded before I head out to go do whatever I'm doing today, which is actually walking around in a cavern. So very excited to go do that. But this is this one, I'm going to tell you, based on the other two, I think this one fell just a little bit flat for me. But because I had reviewed book 2, which was Stone Certainty, I wanted to go ahead and bring book 3. Now the first one is called The Holy Terrors, and that's when Alistair and Diana kind of join forces to be this, I don't want to say paranormal duo, but kind of. There's a couple various events that happened, and they kind of get known as the Holy Terrors. Diana is an actress, but Alistair is a bishop. And so it's just kind of funny because she constantly refers to him as Bish, like Bishop, Bish. But I kind of like, when I picked it up and saw her call him Bish, like, I kind of thought it was kind of slang for the other word that kind of sounds like Bish. I'm fairly certain you can figure that out. But let me just dive into the summary, and then I'll start talking about my thoughts on this particular book. Talented actress Diana and young Bishop Alistair, her partner in crime solving and supernatural sleuthing, face the terrifying case of the Scottish play, in this witty, creeptastic paranormal mystery from New York Times best-selling British fantasy author Simon R. Green. Miles away from town or city, and centuries away from civilization, 3 witches dance around a great brass cauldron, singing songs of horror and hatred. The crone raises her voice, "When shall we 3 meet again?" Only for the cauldron to emit a thick, poisonous smoke, sending her and her fellow actresses fleeing for their lives. For the director, it's the last straw. Macbeth is famously a cursed play, but the incident is not the first incident of creepy events, making him wonder if someone or something is trying to sabotage the play. The show must go on, but not if the forces of darkness are determined for it not to. Talented actress. This is where, like, okay, great, she's a talented actress. Talented actress Diana Hunt, hired to give her Lady Macbeth, knows just the man to turn to for her partner in crime solving, handsome young Bishop Alistair Kincaid, whose help investigating a series of seemingly supernatural murders has earned them the nickname the Holy Terrors. But with evil and black magic wrapping the theater in darkness, this investigation might cost Alistair and Diane far more than they're expecting. So it does say the Holy Terrors are funny, scary, and thoughtfully entertaining, perfect for fans of the Simon R. Green urban fantasy series, Jim Butcher, Terry Pratchett, and Ben Aronovich. And I hope I say that right. I always have said Aronovich, so I hope that's pretty close. So now it also says, as well as those who enjoy American Horror Story, X-Files, and murder mysteries with supernatural twists. Okay. My thoughts on American Horror Story is this book has absolutely no affiliation. I don't see them in the same category. So not sure why that's listed. Also not 100% certain why X-Files is listed, other than the fact there is a male and female, like, kind of lead who do have romantic interests in each other, but for some reason just can't get it together. This one, more than the other two, felt like a cozy mystery. We start off in a theater, and 90% of this book takes place within that theater. And so, in a lot of ways, it's kind of a locked room murder mystery. Even though there is a fairly large cast for Macbeth with extras and such, it feels as though we have a limited number of suspects, which is wild because we apparently have, like I said, a large number of cast and extras. But all these random things seem to be happening to the point that people on the set and people in the troupe or the theater, the thespians, they are convinced that this curse is real, someone is trying to sabotage them, it's paranormal, all of this sort of stuff. And nobody can really prove otherwise. There's even some stuff that hints towards witchcraft, there's hints towards ghosts or demons and all this sort of thing. Sorry, just needed a sip of coffee to keep me going. But I do find this particular book, this particular installment, to probably have been written really fast. And I don't know, it just didn't feel like the other two felt for me, which I just really felt like we were just doing more. And this one didn't feel like that. So I don't know if it just felt rushed or if he had this idea to just be like, oh, let me do a murder mystery with Macbeth because Macbeth is the cursed Scottish play sort of thing. I don't really know. Like, I've heard about Macbeth potentially being cursed with regards to any time, most times, that theaters or productions try to do it. Like, they encounter just things going wrong in various ways. So this particular production is also afflicted with a lot of those things. There, like, as we progress in this book, there is kind of like one of those retractable little dirks, D-I-R-K. It's supposedly like a little knife that's supposed to be used for one of the scenes, and it's supposed to retract back in on itself as you touch something, as you hit something. However, when one of the, I guess, actors goes to swipe at his co-actor, the blade does not retract, and the actor does get a pretty I don't want to say significant cut, but gets a cut on their arm, like, which means, you know, this dirk has been tampered with. There's also a moment where, I guess, the king, he is on the throne and they're carrying him forward, and the throne, like, crumbles apart. And, like, the armchair, like, the armrest breaks, and the king kind of, like, shifts his weight because everything kind of falls that way. And then he lands on it, and it just completely shatters. Then the three witches, as the summary said, they're, like, brewing their potion around the cauldron. And as they're delivering some of, like, the more notable lines, the cauldron starts emitting, like, this very toxic gas. And so everybody has to kind of evacuate the area, and they have to get rid of that cauldron. There were, somebody found a bat that had been, like, kind of stabbed in their dressing room, and somebody else found, like, a voodoo doll. So all of these various things, like, they feel like somebody is really messing with them, trying to sabotage this production, trying to maybe prevent it from going on at all. And then there's other people who are like, no, this is going to be our big break. We're going to make it to West End. You know, we've already got it lined up. Like, we just have to wait for whatever's currently in production over there to finish, and then we just move right in. Like, that's where, like, this is going to be a lot of our big break. Macbeth in West End in, I guess, London. Doesn't really work out that way. So for me, interesting enough, yes, people do start dropping. Now, I want to say, I don't know if I want to tell you how many bodies. I don't know if I want to tell you how many victims. But I did mention that 90% of the book happens in this theater. Well, then at one point, Diana is like, you know what? We need to go back back to the hotel. Well, apparently the hotel is like across the street. And the hotel is really not even staffed well. I don't know. It was just a weird way to do it. But it felt like I was like, why are we changing gears at this point? Sure, like police have arrived now that a body has been created and they have to investigate that, but they let everybody in the troop just go across the street to have a drink. Like, I was very confused. I just didn't feel like that was great policing. If this individual had been, let's just say, poisoned with wine in a particular scene, then I am not 100% certain the investigators are going to be like, yeah, all y'all, all 50 of y'all, go across the street and have a drink. So that was very interesting. We do see some moments where Alistair and Diana are testing the boundaries of their relationship. And it's kind of like a whole will they, won't they, will they, won't they. And I mean, you can tell that they, of course, have like a thing for each other. And I think at one point as well, if I remember the scene correctly, like someone asks if they're dating, and she kind of cozies up more to his arm. So she doesn't say no, but she doesn't say yes. And I'm just like, okay, so like they're kind of a thing without much much else. He is a man of the cloth, so he is limited, I guess. And I'm just trying to like be respectful of the book and some of the events that happen, only because if you do read this, or if you have read it, I don't want to spoil stuff that could potentially spoil stuff. And they do make a pretty good duo, but there are a couple tense moments in between them. It's kind of like, okay, well, are they going to be able to push past this sort of thing that like kind of a roadblock? And I mean, let's say we shall see. I mean, I saw, and do I expect more from this series? I don't know, but if we do get more from this series, then I kind of hope we kind of go back to leaning more towards the supernatural, like just leaning more into it. This didn't feel as, I don't know, as creepy supernatural as I wanted it to feel. I don't know if it's because it was like a play production where I felt like everything else was already fake and everything else was already actors and actresses. I don't know. And I'm not gonna tell you if there's supernatural parts or not, but let's just say there's some moments that are really concerning, for sure. But I do think personally Stone Certainty was better than this, and I do give that one like a solid 4 stars. This one, I'm gonna have to knock it back just a little bit to about a 3.75. It was not my favorite, even though it was a very quick read. And again, I think I read it this morning in just a few hours. It's only like 200 pages, at least on my e-reader. So I was like, oh, I can knock this out. And I did. I just knocked it out in a few hours. It does release August 5th of 2025. And personally think Simon R. Green has some better books. This is just not the strongest one in his arsenal. Still entertaining, still pretty fun if you like his style of writing, which I do. So I do keep going back and picking them up. I know his writing style. I have probably 20 books of his on my bookshelf in the living room. So it's not like I don't know what I'm getting into. I just felt like there wasn't as much meat to this particular story as I guess I was hoping for, which we do get in quite a few other books from him. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there and let you guys decide if it's something that you're going to want to pick up or not. Just remember, there are 2 books before this one. The stories within are pretty independent of each other. Like, they are pretty well contained. However, if you want to know a little more backstory of Diana and Alistair and kind of their relationship as we move through the books, then you're going to want to pick up the first one and the second one. The first one being Holy Terrors and the second one being Stone Certainty. So this one is the third in the series, and I know I don't frequently read all the ones in a series, but hey, I finally did. I didn't just pick it up and be like, oh no, I've picked up the third in the series, because I so frequently do that, but by accident, because some of these books just look so appealing that I hate to miss the chance to read them when I have the opportunity. So with all of that, thank you so much for joining me on this journey, and I will see you all on the next page. Have a great one. Bye.